Business questions. 154. What was the most important event at this firm last year? We opened our sub-office in another town. What are there in your desk drawers? There are pens. There are sheets of papers. There are rulers. Whose is the boat in the yard? It's mine. Is there a problem with it? No, there isn't. I have to prepare it for the MOT test for its logbook. It needs a vehicle license and motor registration. When do you want to use it in the near future? This Saturday. On Saturday this week. 160. How many workers have you employed since you began here? How many workers do you have who has worked for you since the beginning? 3 altogether. 161. What had you done before you opened your sub-office? Why did you start it? That was, and it is now, a very good area, and there we haven't got any competitors, so-called business enemies. What will you do after this place becomes small? Will you open or start another? I hope we will be able to open another. How long ago did you think about growing? About 3 years ago. What were the signs of that it would be good to have a sub-office there? There were demands there, but we couldn't satisfy them economically because of the high costs of transport. Can you tell me how profitable your sub-office is for you? It's better and better. How high is your phoning expenditure? It's very high because I often call Thailand. Which time of the year is the busiest? I think it's autumn. Why? Because the holiday season is over and almost everybody starts work at the same time. What is the difference between the work here and at your sub-office? Almost nothing. 170. What is the address of your sub-office? It's K.M. Boulevard. 171. How many times do you visit it monthly? How often do you usually visit it a month? About 2 or 3 times a month. How many people work there altogether? About 12 people. Where are those workers from? From K. Does it have a yard? Yes. How big is the office building there? It is a Western-style building. There are 4 desks in one big office room. The people working there always know about everything happening. How many floors does it have? It is a ground floor building. How big is its basic area? I don't know exactly. The yard is bigger than this. The office building is about as big as this. Do you have a shop there? Yes. What kind of shop is it? It's the same like this. It sells bearings and parts of forklifts. 180. What are the most important firms and factories there that are your customers? There are agricultural machinery producers, tinned and canned food factories, soft drink producers. 181. Did you have more places that you could choose? No. When we decided to have a sub-office, we already had that place there. Are there areas in Hungary that would be good business areas for you? There must be some. What was the furthest place that found you on business, but you couldn't deal with it, or them, because of the distance? If I can remember well, it has never happened. Where is the nearest firm like this to the west? Perhaps P. Can you tell me how many firms like this there are in Hungary? About 10 or 15. Have you thought of starting another kind of business since you started selling bearings? Soon we'll open a store, a shop selling parts of cars. When exactly? I hope next week. Where exactly? In the store selling bearings. What kinds of cars will you sell parts for? All kinds of cars. 190. Who had this idea? Whose idea was this? It was mine. 191. Where did this idea come from? What was the source? We thought of making this firm bigger. Have you advertised it yet? Not yet. It will begin next week. What kinds of parts will you sell? There will be full choice. What kinds of parts do you have in stock? What parts are there in stock? All kinds of service parts. Will you only sell parts or will you mend cars, too? We will only sell parts. We haven't got any room for it, for mending cars, and we don't have proper professional background, either. Which part is the most difficult to get? They are the parts of engines. Why are they difficult to get? There are many kinds of them, and dealers don't always keep enough in stock. How do you advertise this shop? By radio and newspapers. Through them for the time being. How big is this shop? About 100 square meters. 200. When will you check the profitability of the shop? In about a year. 201. 201. When is your work like race against time? When we order parts from many places at the same time. Where do you keep ISO certificates here? They are on the walls, almost in all rooms. How useful would be an invention that would enable forklifts to work between very narrow rows of sets of shelves? It would be useful, but it would be needed very rarely, or almost never. This problem can be prevented by reasonable arranging. Personal questions. About sport. How long have you done bodybuilding? I have done it for 17 years, since 1984. Why did you start doing it? Because I wanted to do some sports. Why did you choose this, from among other sports? My first reason is that there were only a few sports that I was interested in this city. Second is that when I chose it I was too old for other sports. What sports did you do before bodybuilding? I played basketball, I went dancing, I practiced taekwondo. When did you see the first signs of your developing? After 2 or 3 months later. How does this sport measure developing? In 3 ways: by weight, by size and by the mirror. 210. Where did or do you go training? At the moment I am going to TSM Fitness. Before this place I had an own gym, called Hercules. 211. Did you go to competitions or shows? Yes. How many times? I was on 3 national championships, and I went to shows very often, almost every weekend for years. When did you start thinking about it seriously? After a year's training. How many times did or do you do it a week? At present I go 4 times a week, but long ago I went 6 times. How long is a training usually? I usually train for an hour a train day. What are the most important, the main points of your trainings nowadays? The most important is keeping the fat content of my body at a low level. Do you do any sports beside bodybuilding sometimes? Yes. I go running almost every other morning. Can bodybuilding be harmful or unhealthy? Yes. What kinds of injuries can you get? Muscle tear, overstretching, wearing away of joints, etc. 220. When mustn't you go for a training? When you are ill, or sick, when you have any injuries. 221. Is there a difference between a bodybuilding and a strongman competitions? Bodybuilding is a totally aesthetical sport. Powerlifting is a performance-centered sport. What do you think about bodybuilding training for children? From which age can children do bodybuilding? It isn't good for children before 16 years old to train with maximum weights. Where did you learn language before? I learned English at home 7 years ago. Did you learn alone? No, I had a teacher. How long did you learn then? 6 months. What did you learn from? From Lightning English. Did you like it? Yes, I liked it, because I didn't know any others. The knowledge of the Thai language, learning English. Yes, I think so. How? In what way? It helps to accept the differences of the language. 230. Would you like to learn another language beside Thai and English? Later I would like to learn Spanish. 231. Why? Because I think it is the second most useful or usable language. Where could you use it? If I could go to South America. How do you learn English? I read our notes and I have a book with examples and I use it. How did you learn Thai? First lonely, I bought a dictionary and I often read it. Then I worked in Thailand so I could practice and use it. I could use my Thai in real life. Where did you buy a Thai dictionary? In Thailand. It was an English-Thai dictionary. After how long time did you use it fluently? About 2 years. Did Thai people correct your mistakes? Rarely. About how long have you been there altogether till now? About a year. What will your son's mother language be? It will be Hungarian. 240. What languages does your wife speak? She speaks Thai and Hungarian. 241. Can you read Thai newspapers? I can read them but not understand everything. Will your firm be different after joining the European Union? I think so. I would be glad if we survived. What will be different? There will be more competition, so we will have to work harder to earn our living. Do you prepare for using euro? Not yet. What will be the first signs of our membership at your firm? There won't be any signs here, but in Hungary there will be demonstrations of farmers. What could be the advantages of our membership? I haven't a clue. What do you know about the present exchange rates of euro? I think it would be a good business to buy euro now. Will your foreign trade be easier after joining? Yes, I think so. We won't have to pay duty, and administration will be easier and quicker. How often do you go shopping? Not too often, because my wife does it. 250. What kind of work do you do here? I do official work, for example, making offers, making phone calls, etc. 251. Do you ever do housework? Sometimes, for example hoovering. When do you usually do your homework if you get some? In the evening, after dinner. Who does the cleaning at your place? Certainly my wife does it. How many times a month do you do the washing up at home? I think about 2 or 3 times. Do you ever do gardening? I often do it in summer at my father's house. How long did you do military service? I did 1.5 years. What was your favorite subject that you did at primary school? I liked biology best. What interesting things have you done recently at your workplace? That was about work, of course. We visited a future business partner. We visited a firm that would be our business partner. Have you ever done a boring job in your life? Yes, I have. I was a receptionist at a hotel. 260. What is the most important job of yours at the present? Making arrangements of transport. 261. How do you let your partners abroad to know that they do something wrong? I make a suggestion for solving the problem. Who makes decisions at your firm? I and my father make them. Will you make an attempt of joining foreign trade deeply after we are in the European Union? Yes, by all means, for all events. Do you make efforts of gaining new markets? Yes. For example, we will have several exhibitions in Hungary. What should you do if you went home too late? I should make a good excuse. What do you usually do when a worker of yours makes a serious mistake? I usually try to understand the reason of it. Which type of forklifts makes a big noise? Every type if they are very old and very used. When did you last make a date? I can't remember the time. What can you make a bigger profit from? I think from forklift business. 270. Can you make a cake? Unfortunately, not. 271. On what occasions do you or your boss make a speech for the workers, your staff? I almost never, because I don't like making speeches, but my boss makes speeches on every important event that is important for our business. What can make the biggest trouble in a forklift? It is very important to fill the radiator up with antifreeze in winter, when it's very cold. Please explain me how you buy a forklift from a private person. Usually we don't buy forklifts from a private person. Do you know where you will go angling exactly? Yes, I know. Near Venice. Can you tell me how long you will be there? 7 days. Do you know how much fish you will catch? If I knew, I would be God. Do you ever give a new forklift away for some service? Never at all. Do you ever travel according to the highway code? Almost never. Do you ever cheat your business partners? Never. 280. Has it ever happened to you that you worked when you could go angling? Never. 281. How many grandsons and granddaughters are there in your family at the moment? There are 3 grandchildren altogether, 1 granddaughter and 2 grandsons. How many nieces and nephews do you have? I have 2, 1 niece and 1 nephew. What does your brother-in-law do? I have 1 brother-in-law who is my wife's younger brother. He is still a child. Where does your sister-in-law live? My sister-in-law lives in Thailand. Do you have any uncles or aunts? I have about 3 uncles and 6 aunts. Are there any step relatives in your family? There aren't any. Where would you feel best at the moment? I wish I were near the River Po. What do you usually think before angling? I wish I caught a lot of fish. What do you usually wish before meeting a future business partner? I wish he bought a lot of our products. 290. What was the weather like in Italy? I wish the weather had been very good all the time while we were there. But there were 2 rainy days. 291. What was the business like last month? I wish we had sold more forklifts. What do you think about present international affairs? I wish the terrorist attack hadn't happened. How many pairs of gloves do you have? I have 1 pair of gloves. How many pairs of shoes did you take with you to your last angling trip? 3 pairs. How many pairs of socks do you usually wear out a year? Let's say about 10 pairs. Are you going to have a spare pair of glasses? I don't think so. When do you wear shorts? I wear them when it's nice, I mean when the weather is nice. Do you keep any plus pairs of trousers in your office? Unfortunately, our firm is not big enough for keeping clothes there, yet. When do you use scissors at your office? When my secretary makes a mistake. 300. When do you need pincers? When I want to pull a nail that doesn't want to come out of somewhere easily.